and since Karen was paying for it, they let her plan everything. From the venue to the food, music, etc. Karen decided to plan a destination wedding at a fancy resort. In July of last year we received the invitation, and it was addressed to my son and me. I even had A+1 if I wanted. And as soon as the website went up, I tried to make a reservation for our hotel room. I should clarify that I had to call the hotel to make my reservation because the link wasn't working, and I couldn't risk not getting a room. When I received the email confirmation, it said room for 2 adults, but I didn't think much of it and assumed it was an error due to the language barrier with the hotel guy. I also bought the plane tickets for us around the same time. Fast forward to January, less than a month before the wedding, when my sister-in-law called me crying, saying that Karen had made a mistake with the venue. The resort was for adults only, so they didn't allow anyone younger than 16. My son was 13 at the time. I asked her if it would be possible for Leo and me to stay in another hotel, but they told me the whole resort was child-free, so my son wouldn't even be allowed to attend the ceremony or the reception. I was disappointed, and I told my sister-in-law I'd talk to my son about it. I knew how excited he was about his uncle's wedding, but she insisted both her and Jack wanted to tell him in person. Honestly, my son was devastated. He started crying as soon as he was told he couldn't go. He pleaded with them and even offered to give them all his savings so they could move the wedding. After 30 minutes, my sister-in-law got frustrated and just told him that he was being selfish and that this day wasn't about him. Leo eventually apologized and went to his room. After the wedding, my son just stopped talking to my brother. If Jack sent him a message, Leo would ignore it unless it had something to do with me. For example, he would only reply if Jack asked him to tell me something because he couldn't reach me, etc. On our family gatherings, Leo would only respond to small questions like can you pass the salt? Or help grandma with the plates, but he would ignore my brother if Jack or Mary tried to start a conversation or ask him about the school, etc. A month after the wedding, Jack and Mary offered to take him for a special vacation during spring break to make up for the wedding. However, my son ignored them and later told me he didn't want to go with them. It was heartbreaking because I knew how much he wanted to go to that place, and I couldn't afford it yet, but he stuck to his guns. Something similar happened on Leo's birthday. He asked me if I was planning to throw him a party. I do it every year, and when I said yes, he asked me not to invite his aunt and uncle. I tried to convince him to invite them because they're family and they were sorry, but he just said that if they didn't want him on their special day, he didn't want them on his. My brother was crying when I told him he wasn't invited. However, things came to a head this past weekend. We were at my mom's house, and a conversation about Leo's university came up. My mom asked Leo if he was still planning on going to the same university as Jack and that he should start planning for that, but my son replied that he wasn't interested anymore and he had chosen to study something else. Then my mom said, I thought you wanted to be like your uncle, and my son just said, why would I want to be like him? At this point I intervened and told Leo he didn't have to be so rude, but the damage was already done. My brother and sister-in-law heard what he said and left shortly after. Last night my brother texted me saying I was an asshole for letting my son continue with this grudge, and he even accused me of being jealous of their relationship, and that's why I wasn't doing anything to fix it. I just told him these were the consequences of his actions and that this was 100% his fault for allowing his pos mother-in-law to plan the wedding when she hated my child. He hung up on me. My mom and some other family members think I should force my son to forgive my brother so we can all move on, claiming there was no ill intent and it was just a small mistake. But I don't think I should. My son was hurt, and he should be allowed to heal and forgive them only when he's ready. So Ada?